This episode of Real Food is brought to you by Sclafani Tomato Products, made from the finest vine-ripened tomatoes. Sclafani, since 1900, the ideal addition to any dish.
Hello and welcome to Real Food. You know, under the L, which is the elevated train, there was a restaurant, and it was owned by an unbelievable man. His name was Jimmy Epifanio. The restaurant was an in place. It was full of judges, lawyers, sports figures, ordinary folks, and most importantly, priests, everywhere you looked. Jimmy loved his church. He loved priests. It was a wonderful place, and Jimmy's special dish was a dish called fried ziti. It was amazing, and Connie's is gone now, and so is Jimmy, but his generous spirit lives on in his grandson, Michael, and his wife, Marjorie, who are joining me today in his honor, and thanks so much for being with me, both of you. And what a great gift to give to your grandfather in heaven.
Thank you.
You know, because, and I guess, Marjorie, you knew Jimmy too, right?
Yes.
And just such a wonderful man and just a loving and kind man. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, just a very strong, faith-filled guy, you know? Did he teach you that from the very beginning?
Well, you know, a lot of the good qualities I have come from my grandfather.
Yeah.
You know, the gift of hospitality.
Oh, my Lord.
Having, mercy for those that are less fortunate.
Yeah.
You know, that's what he taught me early on when I was, and I couldn't believe some of the things that he would do in the restaurant. I couldn't believe that he would bring people in and cook for them, and he wouldn't charge them.
Right.
He says, because they don't have any money.
Yep, exactly.
I said, well, how do you do that? How do you make any money? So that was one of the things that I took with me, and I have carried with me even till today. Mm-hmm.
I saw that a million times in that restaurant. And then us, because we were all students, you know, we were studying for the priesthood, never charged us more than $5 for dinner.
Right.
And no matter what you ate, we would beg him. We'd say, Jimmy, we got a little money. We got some extra money. No, don't worry about it. Don't you worry about it. Your money's no good here, you know. And the other thing is he greeted everybody with a kiss in that place, no matter who you are.
And he knew everybody's name.
That
was a big lesson that I learned.
Yeah, what a great gift. And, you know, I think that's an amazing thing to kind of look back in our history sometimes and say, God's really blessed our family. Mm-hmm. But and in your case, you know, not just your family, but has blessed so many other people who knew Grandpa through this beautiful place, Connie's. Now, Connie was your grandfather's wife, right?
Right. She's still alive.
She's still alive. God bless her. That's wonderful.
Yes.
And the restaurant was named after her.
Named after her.
What a great gift. That's unbelievable. And it really was an Italian restaurant that served like lots of kind of traditional Italian food, but he could just make it sing. Whatever you got there was unbelievable. You know?
It was a Neapolitan, Southern Italian.
Yeah.
You know, no recipes. It was all done by touch and feel and love, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
It's great.
It's just, it was wonderful.
And you worked there, right?
I worked there. I started when I was 7. I said, Grandpa, I want a job. He says, I don't hire family. I said, well, okay. And he handed me a number 10 tomato can with pine soil and hot water.
Wow.
And he says, go clean the bathrooms. And that's how I started. And then I eventually made it to the kitchen on a crate.
Wow.
Milk crate to open up clams. And that's
unbelievable.
And I started there, and I was running the kitchen when I was probably 13 years old.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And the everlasting gift he gave you was the gift of knowing how to make this fried ziti.
Oh,
If you Google fried ziti, it's going to come up. Michael's name's going to come up because this guy kept the tradition alive by, you know, allowing this recipe to kind of get published and so that other people can do it. Because I think it's such an important thing. And it's a delicious, tell them how the recipe came about, because it's very practical.
Yeah, well, my grandfather grew up in Italy, and the story goes, at least how I remember it, was that he lived on a mountain farm. So for lunch, he would prepare pasta, meat, and a vegetable.
Sure.
And then any leftover for the next day would be not thrown away, but it would be prepared for breakfast.
Yeah,
so they would take everything, we call it a jambot, everything just mixed together, and they would fry it up in a pan with different cheeses and spices, and then they'd bake it in the oven, and it would come out like a round pancake.
Exactly.
And it was crispy, and it just had a wonderful flavor, because all those flavors from the day before just kind of gelled together.
And I think it's 20 years since I've had this, so I'm so excited today. As soon as the alarm clock went off, I was like, oh, it's fried ziti day, finally. It's been a long time.
Nothing like a fried ziti.
So how do we get going?
Well, chop me up some scallions. I'm going to get my
I'd be glad to do that.
Lit up here.
Now, Marjorie, I know you guys, you know, you were saying before we started, you're pretty active in your faith lives, too.
Oh, yes.
You live down south, right?
We live in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And you came up here to be with us, which is wonderful.
We did. This was really God's providence here, because what are the chances of us being in New York at the time when this taping needed to happen?
Isn't that great?
It's awesome.
And then also just for the rest of the family, it's such a it's a real gift, I think, to give honor to him. And I'm so happy for him, to be able to say thank you this way, because there were so many ways we did thank him all the time, but this is a great way to say thank you too.
It is. It's a great tribute.
Pass on the tradition.
And we love to cook.
Yeah,
and we love to eat.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
that's a good tradition.
And
so now I got
so let's get some scallions in the pan here,
Okay.
Father.
Some olive oil. And our families go way back.
There you go.
My grandfather and grandpa knew each other from 50 years ago.
Really, huh?
Probably longer than that
Isn't
now.
that something? Wow.
Yeah, my family owned some clam bars, and Grandpa rented a clam bar from my grandpa.
Oh my Lord.
So of course we weren't even around at the time, and the families got to know each other, and
Isn't that something?
eventually that's how we met.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I guess your grandfather, did he live in Richmond Hill too?
He lived in Richmond Hill. He had an apartment in the basement.
Okay.
So he never left the restaurant.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And then he went to church, though, right down the block there. In the church, it's...
That was on 111th Street,
Yeah.
Holy Child.
That's it, Holy Child.
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah. Little onion, Father?
A little onion.
Just put a little bit in there. Not much.
Now, he would do this in the kitchen in
This
a
would be
matter
done
of,
in the kitchen.
like 4 seconds. He'd come out with
Well, right,
a big
right.
pot of this for you.
Big-
And you say, Jimmy, how am I going to finish this? You will.
You will.
And we did.
Right. You did. That's right. Everything was done family style.
Yeah, that's true. That's how we did it. Everything was family
Right.
style.
And everybody sat at a big table, and it was a lot of fun. It was very loud.
And among the celebrities, well, Mickey Mantle, of course, right?
Mickey Mantle used to come in.
Bernadette Peters, many times.
Many times. She was good friends with Bernadette Peters' father, Pete Lazara, who owned the bread company, Lazara Bread.
Go figure, right? It's unbelievable.
And we had a few others that used to come in. Trying to think.
Lots and lots of people because the courts were right there.
Well,
so they used to come in, right?
Right. We had a lot of judges, a lot of lawyers, a lot of politicians.
Yeah.
The Democratic Club, I think, was really big in Richmond Hill, Queens.
Yeah. So they used to.
So they used to come in and have meetings there.
Wow, and that's
Big sit-downs, and we had an old telephone booth where they make their business calls.
Yeah,
and
it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was really, and the place was sort of, if you saw it, you could really do a pretty interesting TV show there.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a great set. The whole thing was set up. It was sort of like a classic Italian restaurant.
Rustic is what I call it.
Yeah. They had all of the artwork from the kids up on the walls and stuff.
Yep.
And he'd stack the stuff up.
And there was a mural around the whole restaurant that an old guy. Like, I guess, not older than Michelangelo, but he was old, and he painted a mural around the whole restaurant in the 50s, I think, when the restaurant opened.
Isn't that
and
something?
it stayed until until he closed the restaurant.
Yeah, that's really something.
So it was like 40-some-odd years.
40-some-odd years it was
that
there.
restaurant.
It's incredible. It's unbelievable. Now, with your families now, are you passing on the traditions? Are you passing on this? I know you're passing on faith, obviously.
Yes.
And you're passing on this idea?
Well, the cooking, yeah. My younger son, Joshua, or Josh, he actually works in a restaurant now.
Oh, does he really?
And he likes to cook. So I think he has the cooking gene.
Good. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's an important thing to keep it going like that, right?
So now we're going to saute this, right? So you want it to get crisp.
And so far, all it was some
onions,
kind of rigatoni, onions,
right, and scallions, garlic. I put that in, and then we're going to season it up. Actually, what you could do, I'm going to put a little sausage in.
A little sausage.
Yeah, you can just chop that up. Now in the restaurant we would put sausage or mushroom, right? Pepperoni.
Well, I remember pepperoni.
Remember the
believe it or
pepperoni?
not. Yeah, I do remember that.
And that was a nice little touch.
There were a lot of little secrets that he had, and again, but one of the things that was big to him, he really, like I said, you didn't have to look far in that restaurant to see an image of the Blessed Mother,
right,
or a statue of Jesus. That was all part of it too. That for Jimmy, faith was always a part of everything he did, and I think that's, to me, such a great memory of him.
Yeah. Well, he was a guy that really, it was a practical faith because he actually did things for people
all the time.
He was a great man of help. To the less fortunate.
Sure.
I mentioned earlier about all
feeding
of the
folks,
feeding the poor. Just being kind and generous at all times.
I was just going to say, I'd see him take money out of his pocket sometimes and give it to somebody who come in.
He had a brown paper bag.
Absolutely.
That was the bank of Jim.
Right. Isn't that something that's great? I mean, do you think some of that caught on too with you? I mean, did some of that generosity and that spirit?
It did. I'm
Absolutely.
a deacon at the church that I belong to, and part of that is I'm in charge of the Mercy Ministry.
Wow.
And I attribute that most of it to getting that from my grandfather.
Wow.
Looking out for the least of these in society, and this whole concept of hospitality. And coming around a plate of food. And really connecting with people in that way.
Don't you think that's so
I think
important,
it's an incredible way, and I think God has done that remarkably well. He's shown us in the Scriptures.
Exactly right.
That food is such a part of this whole faith system that we have.
And being one.
And being one.
Right, that's what links us together. Food links us together in so many different
Yes, it
ways. We get
does.
around that table and amazing things
All right,
happen.
we're going to put a little pepper in here now. All right.
Sausage.
Sausage, a little pepper. I put a little salt in there already. Okay.
That's
And we're going to
coming
saute
together
that.
beautifully.
A little oregano, Father. I
Okay,
think I've got
fresh
some.
or-
Well, actually, give me some basil.
Okay.
Yeah. Put a little bit of that in there.
There you go. I'll get this.
Thank you.
This
A
looks
little
like
parsley, fresh.
this is parsley, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put a little parsley in there.
Okay.
All right, we're going to let that saute. Now, the key at for this dish is really to get it nice and crispy. You want a hot stove, hot flame. You want it to really sear it, and you want some brownness to kind of come about.
So even
on
if
pasta.
the rigatoni gets a little brown, don't be scared because that's the whole point of it.
You want it crispy. You almost want a caramelization going on because that's really what the dish is.
That's part of the
Because if
fried.
it wasn't that way, it would be like a baked ziti.
Right.
Right, which is you can get anywhere.
Sure.
This was really the charm was the crispiness of the pasta.
And those pots too, because
And the
you
pots.
actually could see the pots were seasoned pots
Totally
that he
seasoned.
had there. You
Yes.
know.
Yeah, they were totally seasoned and they were used over and over and over and over again. So it had that curing effect.
Yeah,
Right.
it's amazing.
Right?
How it seemed amazing. Yeah.
And then the whole pan eventually goes in the oven.
That's what. And
Self-contained.
actually- And sometimes if it was a late night kind of thing, and I was there, he'd give you the pan. He'd put the pan on the table.
He put the
Yeah.
pan on the table. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you would do that. Just put the pan right on the table.
Right.
All right, guys,
Right.
go for it.
Yeah, we had these old little French pans that we called them. They were, you had to be real careful because they would rust. Didn't have any stainless steel in them. It was more of a carbon-based pan, so it really did a great job at,
Getting red hot.
getting
Yeah.
red hot and searing,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and that's the trick really. So now this is kind of all melding together. We're getting some brownness there.
It'll
Okay.
just start up. Yep.
We're going to get a little sauce in here, right? So the key is you don't want this to be wet. You want it to be a little bit dry,
Sure.
right?
And that's part of the nature.
That's
of this.
part of it, right. So now we're going to saute this a little bit more. Okay? Get that all mixed up.
You see it coming together.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
all coming together. You can smell all the herbs.
Oh, and I can tell by your pan skills. You know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, it's been a while, but
I think you've been doing this for many,
yeah, I
many
have.
years.
It's still you can never
He
get rid of
still
it.
has it.
I still have it. I think. Well, I
You
still have
do.
it. Right. Okay.
Right? It's still there.
She would know.
Absolutely. It'll never
All right,
go
so now
away.
we've got this all kind of caramelized and it's getting some crispiness to it. Okay, now we're going to add a little Parmesan cheese.
Okay,
here,
right
Father.
over there on the front.
Give me a few sprinkles in there if
got
you don't
that.
mind.
Everything is better with Parmesan.
Oh, everything.
Right?
Look at that. You got a nice
I've done
touch.
this. I've done this a few times.
You have?
in my
Yeah,
life,
I can see that.
Can you
Okay.
tell?
Again, a little more. Saute.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All right, well, listen, we're frying ziti. We're thinking about Jimmy. We're celebrating Connie's. We're talking about family tradition and how we pass things on to one another. We're going to finish this part of the fried ziti. We're going to stick it into the oven. Oh, boy, I'm going to taste it in a few minutes. We'll be back with more real food right after this. Don't go anywhere. Ah, the ziti is frying. Welcome
it
back
is.
to Real Food. I'm here with Michael Epifanio, his wife Marjorie. We're talking about Connie's from Richmond Hill. Great dish of fried ziti. And the man who ate fried ziti with me all the time when we were in the seminary, Father Frank Nelson from St. Anne's in Brentwood.
Yes.
And also from Telecare. You all know him and love him. Father Frank, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. I smelled the ziti all the way in Brentwood. I can't.
Well, I mean, the memories are pretty strong about this place,
Oh,
right?
yeah. We had great nights there, remember?
A lot of fun times,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's good about this homage, this paying, tribute to our, grandparents and stuff. I mean, I can remember your grandfather, and
Sure.
You don't forget this stuff, right?
In fact, I brought this home to Grandpa, the recipe, and he never heard of it before.
never
He had
heard
a ball with it. He loved it when it was the first time we ever heard of it.
How did you get the recipe back then? It
No,
wasn't
no, no.
published.
I mean, my own version
Oh,
of
your
it.
own
She
version.
I didn't have
figured
the
it out.
That was
recipe.
the other thing. You couldn't get this.
No,
recipe.
No.
That's the one thing your grandfather's probably not happy about right now.
Well,
but,
the sauce is a little bit of a secret that's
right,
in here.
that's
so
true too. That's true
okay,
too. So you can live with that, then,
Right.
right? Now this kind of turned up. Why don't we see what else we have to do?
All right, so this is really where
it
we
got
want
nice and crispy now.
Crispy, beautiful. So we're going to get a little provolone, Father. Give me
and
a
this
little
smells
sprinkle.
wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, isn't that
Oh, I
nice?
could just take that.
It's
right
a little
into
bit
my
sharp,
office.
not the we call it the stinky feet provolone. That's
Yeah,
not what this
no,
is.
not that kind.
No,
This is a little bit less.
it's a little bit less, okay? Because it melts. That's what we want. Now we got a little mozzi on top.
Beautiful,
Okay,
right?
we've got the Parmesan cheese. It's already in there, so that's
Right,
good.
we already added that in,
All right,
right?
so this goes in the oven.
So what you do is
okay?
you bake that off.
You
now,
bake
right?
it just like you would bake a pie. Okay, 400-degree oven.
400.
You want it to get nice and brown, golden, crispy again on top, and then you serve.
Beautiful.
A little
Beautiful.
garlic bread.
The good news is he did one ahead of time.
Oh.
So it's in the oven ready to go right now. Talk about good news, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's good
terrific.
news.
That's the best news there is.